just getting started, darling.
I was born brilliant. I'm Cruella.
I am woman. Hear me roar.
What the hell was that?
Yeah, that about sums it up. I didn't think that I should do a reaction video, like watching the trailer live for the camera. I just watched it, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it won't matter. And then, like, the trailer ended, and that was my reaction. What? Okay, oh boy. So, I've kind of known, like in the back of my head, that a Cruella prequel, Maleficent-esque movie was a thing that was in the works. I think I even knew it was Emma Stone in it, but like, it had never really registered that much with me. I think partly because I've paid less and less and less attention to the live-action Disney stuff that in some way remakes or reinvents their animated classics. I hate them on principle, and I've just been ignoring them. I think it helped when Lady of the Tramp, I think even did come out, but like it went direct to Disney Plus. It was always going to go directly to Disney Plus, unlike Mulan that was supposed to hit theaters. But yeah, I feel like, oh, maybe they're finally gonna like stop pushing this. So I had honestly not really even thought that hard about the concept of any kind of story where Cruella de Vil's the lead character. And, okay. So I'm trying to decide whether I should pick apart the trailer first or deal with the philosophical issues first. I feel like those are the bigger ones to deal with, so let's just start with the nitpicks here. I really hate how many people, aside from her, have the harsh black-white divide style. You see it on multiple people's hair, multiple people's clothing, which means one of the most iconic things about her look isn't even hers. She stole it from somebody else. I don't know why you think that enhances her character. In my mind, what would make a hell of a lot more sense is if everybody else is super colorful. And so her, whilst even in the red dress, her going monochrome and doing the black and white as a motif for her, in contrast to something bright and vibrant as opposed to a very muted color palette when it isn't just, it might as well be black and white for a lot of this thing. Like, that doesn't stand out. And I also would have said she should be the only one doing that. Instead, like, it looks very much like there's a twisted mentor thing going on. There's this other female character who we see, and I'm really getting the impression like Cruella either wants to impress this person, or was in this person's good graces and fell out, or in some way this person's going to be worse than Cruella, or be the reason Cruella becomes bad, or something. And like, what's with the bats? Did we stumble into Batman Begins by accident? And like, there's a sense of a heist, so are we now coming up with like a whole used to be a criminal thing for Cruella? Like, all the... Okay. Oh, let's start to get into the philosophical issues here. First of all, broadly speaking, Cruella does not need a backstory, much like Maleficent before her. For the purposes of the story that she is best known for, none of the details of her past matter. That's why she was presented the way that she was. But more than that, the little snippets we got of Cruella painted a pretty clear picture of someone who was just rich, had always been of means, and was super entitled, and vain, and cruel. None of which really requires a deep backstory, especially once you see the idea that she's always had means. She's always had money. She does not take well to the word no. Honestly, that's kind of all you need. So the idea of doing a backstory dive in on somebody like that, first of all, strikes me as immensely unnecessary. Character doesn't need a backstory. Then again, neither did Maleficent, and while I don't think the Maleficent film really pulled together, it at least tried some interesting things. And it did kind of show that if you're going to attempt to rebrand this as your, if not necessarily hero, maybe you're going with anti-hero. Maleficent tried to make it a flat-out hero, but let's go benefit of the doubt and say, for the sake of argument, that they're trying to turn Cruella into an anti-hero instead of a straight-up hero, though I expect they're kind of doing that, but there's a problem either way. So if you're going in and you're attempting to do that, you're probably going to have to largely ignore the implications of her origin and project a whole lot of new stuff on her. Like, that's kind of going to be what you have to do because the villain was big and broad and needed to be. And trying to add nuance to that honestly kind of takes the fun out. So you have to come at it from a different angle. And I suspect that's what they're doing. Here's the problem, though, especially if we're going to compare to Maleficent. What was Maleficent known for? Cursing a child and, ensuring that the curse would take hold when she turned, 16? And turning into a dragon and trying to eat a guy. Both of which are bad, but there are ways to spin that. As presented in the original Beauty and the Beast, the curse was her being super freaking petty, which honestly kind of was great that she just did this curse because she wasn't invited to a child's birth celebration. But anyways, so she's just petty and, she calls herself the Almighty Queen of Evil, but largely she seems to be driven by pettiness. And so when you go and do the Maleficent film, all you have to do is shift her background so that we understand she's not just being petty when she curses this child. She is trying to enact vengeance for wrongs done to her. Again, you can argue over whether or not that worked for you, but that is an angle to take because on its surface, petty motivation can have nuance brought to it so that it becomes deeper and allows you to put that character in a protagonist position. What is Cruella best known for? Wanting to kill a whole lot of puppies for a coat. I don't know how you could possibly going about trying to add nuance to someone who wanted to kill puppies. I saw more than a few people notice there's kind of a Harley Quinn vibe to this, which I guess it makes sense in terms of a character vibe that they're going to pull from. Like logically that makes sense, but I'm circling back to the idea of you are trying to make the protagonist, and even if you don't paint this person as like a good person, the person who you put as a protagonist is who you are asking the audience to identify with, even if the audience comes to the conclusion that, oh, they're not really a good person. Like even with something like Breaking Bad, where Walter White was clearly not a good person, he's still the protagonist. You are still asked to understand, get in the head of, and empathize with that character. And you're going to ask your audience to empathize with someone who wanted to kill puppies for no reason other than wanting a coat. I'm sorry, that concept makes me feel really gross. Like, I feel like I need a shower after watching that trailer, if I'm going to be completely honest. Now, I'm not going to be conspiratorial about this. I do not think that there's some sort of evil mwahaha, let's change the perception of this character to, I don't know, enable our agenda to start our puppy fur coat line. I don't think that, like, I'm not conspiratorial by nature. However, what it feels like is carelessness. It feels like they, just looked at a list of who are the fun villains? Who else can we do this kind of thing with? And I feel like they probably looked at, if you look at someone like, I mean, not that you would necessarily do live action, but just to toss these out there, iconic Disney villains. Someone like Scar. Well, he kills a beloved character. That doesn't work. Someone like Jafar attempts to kill the main characters, people, and, looking at the actions of them, and somehow they landed on Cruella and went, she didn't really hurt anybody in the end. Well, yeah, she failed, but holy crap, her motives are some of the most heartless, cruel, pointless, Because you can look at somebody like Jafar, like Ursula, like Scar, and what they did was awful, but it was to gain something of meaning and value in a kind of objective sense, to gain some kind of power, influence, control. She just wants a coat. And you're going to try and make that your protagonist. Even if, and I'm sure they won't, even if they never address properly the idea that she wanted to kill puppies. That's gross. And it makes me actually pause and stop and think about the freaking Gaston Disney series that's going to happen for the version of Gaston from the live action. And while Gaston is not quite the level of cruel that Cruella was, I'm starting to just get a gross feeling in my gut at these things that seek to rehabilitate Disney villains who are great villains and functions as villains well and really don't deserve additional empathy or understanding. I'm not saying other human beings don't. I'm saying these characters. They were built to be appalling. They were successful at being appalling. What are you doing, Disney? The hell? Stop looking at these as just IP to potentially monetize and really think about what it is you're saying when you take characters like this and try and make them more fun or empathetic or heroic. It's gross. Please stop. Cruella trailer, plus this whole general trend. Your thoughts, whatever they are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Like, share, subscribe. I have a Patreon. It's how I pay my bills. Any amount you're able to put in there gets you some kind of perks, but no pressure. I try and take a relaxed attitude around here. I'm a little worked up, but I try. So you can just come on back next time you need a break.